I've learned that tough times don't last, tough people do. Hi, welcome to another video with me. I'm Felisa, and this is the Felisa Lifestyle and Success Space. I want you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like this video, comment, and share. It's been an interesting week. So much was going on. We were preparing for school reopening at Western STEM Academy for September 2025. This is actually our fifth school year of operation and our 15th school term, and every term is just different. Sometimes you're working with returning parents, you're working with new parents, new students, returning students, you're working with staff. It's so much, it takes so much, and they're dealing with pregnancy as well. It's been a journey and studying because, as I mentioned in previous videos, I'm currently doing a master's in business administration. Very intense, but God is good, and I'm always so grateful. But today I want to really talk about what I did in terms of something crazy that I did when I was 23 years old, and that's starting a school. Many will say that I had no business starting a school at 23 years old, and in one sense, I want to believe them. Even though we've come so far, had so many success, had challenges, of course, because there's nothing in life that you won't have challenges. People won't come at you, and you just have to be strong. It's tough, but you have to be strong. So, that's what I did when I was 23 years old, started an entire school. And it's something that I've always wanted to do in terms of starting a school. But I didn't think it was gonna be possible until I'm in my 50s, in my 60s, retired, had enough money, had enough resources, just there because my major in college, what I studied was Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry. Well, Bachelor's of Education, sorry, in Chemistry, Physics, Biology. So I was a major in the sciences at the time, right? So I was teaching biology, teaching chemistry, teaching physics. And how I actually became a teacher it's actually a crazy, interesting story. When I was in grade 3, my teacher said, "What do you want to become?" And I wasn't exposed to careers. And that's one thing, we're making sure that we are including careers in our curriculum from early as K1 for our students to our grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, 4, 5, 6. I wasn't exposed to careers. So my grandmother, she was a vendor in the market. She was selling yam, bananas, Irish potato, anything that you could do. She was selling in the market, and anything that you can think of, she was selling in the market. And here I was going to the market with her as she sells the produce. So that's the only thing I was kind of exposed to. And I was very close with all the market vendors. They would see me as a little girl coming to sell with my grandma, and they were just so nice. So all I thought of, okay, market vendor, that sounds good. So I wrote on my paper that I wanted to become a market vendor. And my teacher was like, bright girl like you want to become a market vendor? And me like, ooh, I don't know any other career. What should I put? And then I looked at her and I realized that she was a really great teacher, impactful, just inspiring. And I'm like, you know what? I want to become a teacher. So it was in grade 3 that I decided that I wanted to become a teacher. And I usually do well in all the subject areas, outstanding in math, language, social studies, the science, integrated studies, all the subjects. So whenever we had awards, I was the one little child who would get the awards for outstanding performance in different subject areas. And growing up, we were very poor. We were very, very poor. I was living with my grandmother, who took me in after my mother developed a mental illness and my father had recently died. So my grandmother took me in. She didn't have much though, so we were basically living together, me and her sharing her room, sharing her bed. And basically we had outside kitchen where we would just go outside and get some some branches, and that would be what we cook on. We use our outside toilet or shower outside, all of those things that you can think about in terms of living in rural Jamaica, in the deep countryside where there weren't a lot of opportunities, no electricity. So we had no television, no radio, no running water. So I wasn't exposed to much, But even though life was like that, I was content. I was just so grateful that I had the opportunity to go to school. School was my everything. School was my safe space. I would go to school, I would read books, and those stories in those books, taught me or inspired me that hey, there is a life outside of whatever I was going through. So I didn't allow that to pull me down, even though I had low self-esteem, like very low self-esteem. I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think, I could match up. But I was just doing well in school, but I didn't really feel too good about myself. So here I was going to school and all of that, and then being motivated by my teachers who would tell me I'm so brilliant, I'm doing well. And then time for us to do GSAT. Did GSAT and still wanted to be a teacher, a math teacher at the time. But then got my first choice, right? Went to high school. Now going to high school, Westwood High School at the time, that exposed me to a whole new world. Met some other amazing teachers who continued the inspiration, and I'm still pressed. I'm still inspired that I want to be a teacher. I just want to be a teacher. I don't really know how, but I want to be a teacher. Because here was my grandmother was struggling to send me to school because all she had was the money from the market, and by I went to high school, she had stopped going to the market because she had gotten very old and just couldn't manage to go to the market. But she was still the one providing for me. And then my teacher started helping me, started providing for me at the time. And then still motivated, still inspired, still living in those poverty conditions, still going through until I reached grade 11 and I got the opportunity to do private boarding for a year. And that gave me the opportunity to study at night, because before that, we were just using like kerosene lamps at home, and it was really hard to study at night. So I got an opportunity to share my story with ISCF rally, and I did. And then after that, the church, they were just so good. Mandeville Baptist, I forever, I'm just grateful for them. They come together and they collected money on my behalf and said, we're going to help you to graduate from school and do what you need to do. And they came together and they gave contributions in the church at the rally. And from then, the Jamaica Gleaner published a story about me, 17-year-old girl's faith in the face of adversity, something like that. And a lot of people from the entire Jamaica came on board and decided to help me to actually to contribute towards me at the time. And then what happened was I had the opportunity to start college, teachers college, with the help of some of my other teachers. They were the support at the time, to start college, to go to college. And started Church Teachers College, and I had that opportunity, and I was just so grateful that hey, here I was, a very poor girl from very humble beginnings, abject poverty, being able to go to college. Even some things that I went through in high school, I remember being placed in a girls' home for a period of time, and it was just a dark period, but education was the light. Education for me was the light, So when I'm started with like tough times will come, right? Tough times, they don't last, because even though I went through all of that, I had a dream that I was gonna come out of that through quality education, just from going to school. I didn't know what I was doing, but go to school, like, in the day they said, go to school, pick up your book. And that's what I wanted to do. That's why I wanted to become a teacher, to speak to another student, another child, that hey, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, it doesn't matter your situation, you can become successful. So I went to college, and I was grateful for the opportunity to be in college, and I decided that I wasn't going to waste the opportunity. By second year of college, I didn't know how the rest of the fees were going to be paid, because I'm still just a poor girl. And I was given the Math and Science Scholarship from the Jamaica government. I got a full scholarship to study mathematics. Well, they had a mathematics and science scholarship, but my major was in science, so I got a full scholarship to finish studying the sciences then, and that scholarship really, really helped me. It took the pressure off. I wasn't worrying about tuition anymore, but I decided that if I got this amazing opportunity, I had to make the best of it. So I became involved in every single thing in college, debating. I was debating locally, debating against other universities. We even went to California. That's how I traveled for the first time, literally through my college, who paid all expense for us to go to California and debate in Los Angeles, right? I was involved in every little thing. I became student council vice president, then student council president, because I really wanted every opportunity that I got to be able to impact persons in a positive way. So here I was debating, being student council president, student council vice president first, then president after, and just using the opportunity. I remember some projects that we would do in college. We visited girls' home, well, a boys' home actually, because I know what it's like being in a girls' home where you're there and you're just hopeless. I then became a part of the youth parliament, youth advisory, Council of Jamaica, all while finishing up my degree at the time. And just excited about the opportunity to be given this opportunity as a very poor girl, and trying to tell persons that, hey, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can be successful. You just need to have the drive. Once you have that drive, success will come with that drive. Yes, you're gonna face challenges, you're gonna face negativity, because I did face challenges and negativity along the way, but I kept going, and that's what I've been doing. I just keep going, and I just encourage persons to keep going despite whatever you are faced with. So all of that happened, and then I graduated as one of the top students in college with my degree, and I was just really, really grateful. And then I started teaching. When I started teaching, I taught at a school that was out of parish, and God was still on my side, where I was given accommodation to be able to stay on campus to teach. And that made the process easier as my first job. And then I realized that I love teaching, but I wanted to do more. I wanted to give back more. I wanted to just do more. So it was in my first job as a teacher that the desire to actually have my own school kind of start coming in. And then I'm there, and I thought about it, but I said, you know what, this wouldn't be possible until I'm older, because you don't have no money. You're still from a very poor beginning. You still have your mom who has mental illness. You have your grandma at the time to take care of. So you don't have any resources to do that. So that wasn't something that I thought was possible until I left that school, went to another school, and taught at a few schools, and still realizing that there was more that we could do in education. The schools are doing their best, with the resources that they have, but I felt like there was more that we could do for education, and still trying to find my best, to give my best, developed really good relationships with my students and my colleagues until in the pandemic, the middle of the pandemic, we literally, the school, we got laid off from the jobs that we were at, and we decided that, you know what, a lot of parents, they were uncertain about their child's future because schools were closed. Schools were closed at the time, and not just in Jamaica, but all over. It was in COVID-19 back in 2020 when schools were closed, and a lot of parents were just like wondering what's going to happen. I was teaching CXC classes, so I was a CXC teacher mainly. And then basically, well, high school level, those students preparing for CSEC exams. So we decided that, you know what, we're gonna start offering classes. So some classes we offered for free, some we started charging a minimal fee. And then once that was going on, a lot of parents all over started coming on board and saying that they wanted to attend the classes, and we prepared the students for the exams. And they saw success that they weren't even seeing from they were even face to face, just because of the approach, that hands-on approach that we took. Students were always doing experiments online, doing different things because we were virtual. And then persons started asking if we were doing anything for the summer to prepare other students. So we held our first summer school in 2020. Now in 2020, we had our first summer school, and wow, the turnout was just great. And some of my friends, they came on board, my colleagues and friends, and they helped in tremendous way to ensure that students had a good summer experience. Parents came and they were just impressed, they were happy. Then summer school ended, and parents wanted to continue for us to offer full classes because schools still weren't open yet. So we did all we needed to do to be able to accommodate those students for our September 2020 cohort. And I was really inspired, shocked, taken aback by the number of parents who really, they trusted us. Like, we spoke with them and they trusted us to deliver in terms of the educational value that we set out to actually achieve using the hands-on STEM approach. And that's basically how Western STEM Academy was born. From September 2020, we had our first full-time cohort of students, and 5 years later we still have some of those students going with us. Some students who started in grade 3, in grade 2, and they've transitioned over to our high school at this point. We started with our prep school and our high school. So from then we had both prep school and we had our high school groups. And let me tell you, it's been a journey. It's one of the craziest things that I've done, but I would do it again. I would do it again because I've seen how in front of me students' lives were transformed. I've seen where students who had, a difficult time, learning concepts, who struggled with confidence, who struggled with different areas. I've seen how they were developed. Even parents, they would reach out and tell us different things that their children were experiencing, and how just by being a part of our school, which we want it to be a safe space for parents, for students, how it has helped them in so many ways. And yes, we've had challenges. We've had some very difficult challenges, but one thing we stand on is the impact. One thing we stand on is honesty and integrity, and that's what we are serving with. I have some very dedicated team members who they have given, literally, they are giving their lives for this, because we don't do this because of any huge financial gains, because everybody knows that education is almost like a charity project. For us, it's like a passion project. It's something that we love doing. So we are not sponsored by any external organizations at the moment. We literally depend on the parents that we have who pay tuition. All of that tuition goes into running the school. We've not had any major sponsors except from DBJ, Development Bank of Jamaica, where we won a pitch competition for $300,000, and that went into the school. Right? Every single thing, paying our teachers, doing every single thing that we have at Western STEM Academy, we depend on tuition. Our class sizes, they are very small. So usually you'll find 5, 3, 4. We've even had classes with 2 students in there, right? So whatever tuition is paid over to us, we use that to ensure that our staff members are paid, because they are giving their lives to ensure this school continue. We're investing it into making the programs of Western STEM Academy continue so that they can be successful. So that's for tuition, right? And in terms of our tuition is still it's not very high. We try to make it affordable. We know that a lot of persons face financial difficulties, right? But we try to make it affordable, right? And if a parent say, hey, I just can't pay for whatever reason, and they explain to us and they talk with us, we try to find a way to ensure that we accommodate those parents. Because you know what? I remember when I was going to school and they would have extra classes. My teachers knew I could not afford one extra class. I can't afford it. But they never denied me the opportunity to attend those extra classes. I remember going to chemistry classes, and it was really the goodness of my teacher at the time, just so caring, so thoughtful, right? So I know what it's like to have nothing. So it's one of the most challenging things for me to say no to a parent. If I have ever told any parent no, it's because we really, really were in a spot where we just could not do better. But I am the type of person who is going to try my best to work with you to make sure that your child's educational dreams are accomplished, right? Because I know the value of education. I'm a living proof. Like, I could not be here if it weren't teachers who believed in me. I'm not from any rich background or anything like that, but it was really the teachers who believed in me and gave me a chance to be successful. They invested in me. They saw me when nobody else did, because there was a time when my community wrote me off and said that I wouldn't become anything. I would just become like a beggar on the street like my mom. And that hurt. That hurt. So we're really doing this because of the passion that we have for education, and we will continue to do what we have to do to transform lives. We will focus on execute. One thing I've learned: ignore the noise, focus on execute, because we have persons depending on us. We have persons whose lives are being transformed every single day, and that's why we do what we do. There are many times when we could have given up. It was very easy. One of the easiest things that we could have done is give up, because running a school is not easy. There's so many moving parts that nobody sees, or just a few persons sees, just the team. We see the nights that we're up planning lessons. We see the nights that we're up making sure that everything is in order to ensure that we are able to show up and deliver. It's not easy running a school, having your parent body, having your student body, having your staff, having everything to make sure every moving part works. You have to constantly be hiring, you have to constantly be training, because one thing in education, the training never stops. You have to constantly be preparing, and the teachers can prepare. As a teacher, you write lesson plans that you have no weekends. You have no weekends. Lesson plans are a part of your life. I know that. I've been a teacher. So I've been teaching for about 8 years now. Going somewhere between 8 and 10 years now. So I know what that is like, So this is what we do. This is what we do. This is our story. This is why we started. And we're all about ensuring that children are successful. Everyone is given an opportunity to excel. So I thank everyone who has been supporting us. I thank all the persons who, you've been there with us from the beginning, from 2020 to 2025. Those who came along, we appreciate you. We appreciate every single person who has worked with Western STEM Academy and make it what it is. And we will continue to fly the Western STEM Academy banner high. No matter what's going on, we are here. We're committed. No matter where we are, we're a fully online school. We operate from anywhere in the world. We have students all over. We've had students who are in China attending Western STEM Academy. And that's what we love about the online modality. It allows us to impact students. Location is not a barrier. We are a classroom without walls. And we want to continue that mission to ensure that every child succeeds. Right? That's our mission. At the heart of everything that we do, education is our passion. It is what we do. It's what we intend to use to change the world, like Nelson Mandela posits. So thank you, and remember to subscribe, like this video, and share. Let's get into the habit of sharing the positivity too, not just the negativity. I know it's easier, but let's get into the habit of sharing positive messages that education is still a powerful tool that can be used to change the world. There's still persons who are committed to the cause. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it gets overwhelming. Yes, we've had challenges. We're not saying that we're a perfect school. We're a growing institution. We've had growth pains. I remember one year we grew so much that we were hardly able to contain that growth. And that was between 2023 to 2024. The growth was just exponential, where there were so many parents who wanted our services. And the truth is, we could have said no to some of them, right? Because we were growing beyond our capacity. But because we wanted to be able to still provide the quality education for all, make it accessible, because STEM is needed, we literally went above beyond to make sure that everybody got access. So yes, we've had some difficult times. We've done some things that we would love to, from learning, that you could get better at some areas, but that's a part of anything, right? There's so many persons who you have to like, in order to grow as a leader, you are gonna have challenges, but it's what you do when those come. But at the heart of what we do, honesty, integrity is what we do, and that's something that we will never bend on. So those are my words. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to subscribe.